Adventuring is often a lethal business, pursued by the foolish, the desperate, and the brave. To face the myriad horrors lurking within the Cyclopean subterranean complexes far from society, it takes truly remarkable spirit to survive, let alone to persevere. Grok Trapspringer was one such traveler. Hailing from a nomadic people in a distant desert wasteland, the Half-Orc barbarian set out alongside an adventuring company in search of renown. Together they would pursue gold and glory, searching to carve their reputations from the legendary depths of the Dungeon of Graves itself, the infamous Rapanathuk. For a time, Grok found great success and glory in proving his warrior skill and prowess against the many relentless undead monstrosities and immense flesh-eating vermin. Where others struggled, he had thrived. Yet fate took a cruel turn upon arriving in the Basilisk Caverns, a place where a careless glance ensures an instant end. Surrounded by the statues of other fallen explorers, Grok and his coterie of mercenaries were ambushed by an especially savage reptilian horror. Racing forward to face it, joints stiffened and flesh ossified. Within seconds, Grok Trapspringer met his immediate and petrified end. Or did he? For outside the dungeon, many days of arduous journey away, Grok's compatriots brokered a deal with the sinister crone for use of her Cauldron of the Reborn, a magical artifact capable of restoring the dead to life at the cost of becoming partially reincarnated. Judged to be a fair cause for the return of their sword brother, the body of Grok was cast inside the cauldron and foul incantations were recited. Grok emerged from the cauldron to travel the world once more, but as a cost, his body had become fused with the traits of a sprightly satyr. Determined not to let his new physique hinder him, Grok was eager to delve the dungeon once more. His new goat-like legs bestowed a graceful agility to complement his brute strength. This union of brawn and quickness allowed him to nimbly evade traps that would ensnare others and effortlessly adapt to the ebb and flow of the battles to come. Grok's hybrid nature also granted him even greater enhanced senses, enabling him to detect hidden stashes of wealth as well as elusive sources of danger. Following these instincts, a series of secreted chambers became revealed, and the rancid smell of rot and festering blood provided a clear trail to a necromancer's lair. However, the party became overwhelmed by the number of animated blood hulks. While most were able to beat a hasty retreat, Grok's egress was blocked under the bloated foot of a gigantic zombie, and thus Trapspringer met his end. Or did he? Finding the first experience to be a great success, the party journeyed back to the grove of the Bone Crone, eager to throw their fallen comrade inside and see what would happen. Under the new moon in this forgotten grove, more spells were cast and Grok arose once more. Red of hue, greater of size, and with a newfound heat tolerance as the rebirthing process granted the racial traits of a fire giant upon the once lean warrior. Yet again, into the depths Grok would delve alongside his allies, eager to test what he was capable of. Close to the heart of the labyrinthine bloodways, darkness seeped at every crevice. This journey was different. Insanity bled from the others as quickly as their hope had fled. The pathways had betrayed the group, and the way to the surface did not feel the same. This was not the first time they were lost below the world, but it was the first time that they felt the desperation to escape. A low guttural growl reverberated from above the party, and slinking out from the uneven walls came a chaos beast, an amorphous shape which shifted and warped with every movement. A great battle raged, echoing as thunder and spell and sword clashed with the twisted form and lashing tendrils. Despite their victory, the gnashing maw had bitten into Grok, rapidly turning into an infected wound. The infection spread within minutes, and Grok's very form began to soften and melt into a fleshy sludge. Every healing enchantment at the party's disposal was put upon him, all without success. Grok looked up at his gathered allies and contemplated his mortality. Perhaps this would be a suitable end for one who embraced having such a malleable form. With nothing less to lose, one of Grok's allies took to uncorking every unidentified vial and potion in their possession and forcibly poured the contents down Grok's throat as his vision went dark. Unbeknownst to the group, one elixir within their inventory contained the distilled spirit of a captured coatl. The raw essence of this divinely infused spirit melded with the liquefied form of Grok and begun to repair him to wholeness. Cured of this dissolving affliction, Grok stood and revealed his latest change. Across his body could be found iridescent blue and green plumage, a physical sign of the feathered dragonkin which gave what little life it had left so Grok could continue in his travels. Dozens, if not hundreds, have died in the twisting corridors of Rapanathuk, yet consideration should be given for the rare few who survived to tell of these deeds. Those for whom death had no firm grip upon. Grok was one such defiant example in the face of doom. After a time he had returned to his family of nomads and was welcomed despite how the journey had so remarkably changed him. His experience and tribulations transformed him, yes, but also imparted greater wisdom than he had before, and certainly grander stories to tell. Death would finally take him many years later, quietly, peacefully, and on his own terms. The storied life of Grok would be carried on in future generations, as warriors would honor him by wearing headdresses of radiant plumage, remembering the story of how the end of one's life need not be the end of one's story.